everyone. Welcome back to Moving Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's the podcast where we watch The Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Roe.
And joining us today, we have a return guest, a guest who I believe has been here for every movie so far. Yes. And who are you?
Hi, I'm Jesse Hassenger, a writer of movie stuff, and you can find me on the internet at rockmarooned if you subject yourself to Twitter like I do.
Well, it's a thrill to have you back, as always, Jesse.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm looking forward to I'll love all the Muppet movies, but I was kind of particularly looking forward to this one, this moment from this one.
Awesome. We're always excited when a guest wants to talk about a specific scene.
Yeah.
So, and what scene is it? It is minutes 35 and 36 from The Muppets Take Manhattan. In these minutes, Piggy and Joan Rivers get fired, and the rats violate the health code. So we open with the end of the scene we saw last week, where Elaine, played by Joan Rivers, is furiously dotting freckles too cutesy all over Piggy's nose as we start. And we only see, I don't know, this goes for about 30 seconds in this scene. But this is my favorite part of this sequence. Just how their energy is just off the charts. They're just laughing uproariously.
Oh, the freckles so specifically, or just the escalation of it? Just
the escalation. I mean, this like when we talked about this last week, I was disappointed that we didn't get to see this stuff, because this is what I think of.
Where they completely just lose it.
Yeah, they just lose it. They're laughing so hard. She gives Piggy lipstick. The way Piggy puckers up is so funny, with her snout going under her bottom lip. Is such a great Frank Oz thing.
Yeah, it's great that they figured out how to make the puppet pucker her lips.
Yeah, because obviously she doesn't really have an upper lip; she has a snout.
Right.
I saw this movie when I was when it came out in the theaters. This is the first one of the old Muppet movies that I saw that way, because I was 3.5 or whatever when it came out, and I don't think this is from that theater memory, but the Joan Rivers stuff. This is, I'm sure, the first time I ever saw Joan Rivers. And it is so memorable. It really burned into my brain, this scene. And I don't even know that I found it that funny. I think I actually kind of found it disturbing at the time.
Sure.
But sometimes when a human interacts really intimately with a Muppet in a weird way, I especially as a kid, I would get it would kind of not gross me out, but there'd be something uncomfortable about it. When in the first Muppet movie when Doc Hopper folds, or that crazy mad scientist, I guess it is, folds Kermit's legs around putting it, that really disturbed me. And it's not as disturbing intentionally, but this really, her and Joan Rivers, though it is really wonderful to watch now as an adult scene after knowing who Joan Rivers is and what a fun performer she is and how into it she is. At the time, it really, I wouldn't say I found it upsetting, but I was it was a lot. I guess it was my 4-year-old brain was trying to process what we now would say. That's a lot.
Yeah. No, well,
Right,
it's they're acting crazy, and Joan Rivers is totally messing up Piggy's face. So
yeah,
even though
exactly.
She seems to be having fun, but still. Yeah, that reminds me of when I was a kid and I was highly disturbed by a sketch on the Peter Sellers episode of The Muppet Show, where Peter Sellers plays a masseuse who is giving Link a massage and is just twisting his arms and legs and tying them in knots. I hated that so much.
Well, and I love, speaking of her just messing Piggy up, I love how much she has to move her arm around to cover Piggy's giant lower lip. Right? Because she's using a regular size lipstick. It's not like she has some giant, puppet lipstick. It's just Piggy has this enormous lip the size of a human face. And Joan Rivers has to smear it around to get lipstick on there.
Yeah.
Which is intense, it really is.
Yeah.
I think it's also the unknown, as a kid you don't know that much about makeup too. So it's very whoa, this feels very adult. Even though what they're doing is actually very ridiculous.
That's true.
But it's very childish, in fact.
Yeah. It's a child's idea of what makeup is which is that. What are they doing to their faces?
Right. So they're just laughing so hard. They're having a great time. And then of course we get the real money shot here, the famous line, right? where she says she's going to do her cheeks, and then Joan Rivers says, "And a powder puff for you, and a powder puff for me," and both of their faces, which is the greatest thing that has ever happened. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, that's really good.
And I watched this scene with my 6-year-old daughter about 7 times earlier today, and she was like so excited that it was that part. Like she didn't let me move on until we'd watched it like I said, like 6 or 7 times. You know?
Wow.
So do you guys have a sense of like how, like, it's funny when I first rewatched this as an older person, I was like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't know her at the time, but Joan Rivers, very famous. But then I was like watching it again today. I was like, wait a minute, 1984. I don't even know how famous. I mean, I know she's been around a long time, but like she had her. I feel like her peak, you know, was probably the late 80s when she got her own talk show and was subbing for Johnny Carson.
But this is when she was subbing for Johnny all the time.
Okay, she was still. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the timeline was.
Yeah,
her talk show on Fox started in '86.
Oh,
right?
okay. Oh, okay.
And
That's
she got that talk show because she'd been this popular guest host for Johnny and guest on the Tonight Show all those years. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like late 70s, early 80s is when she's like beloved Tonight Show people.
Right.
Joan Rivers, you know?
They never do that anymore. Like have I'm sure there are people who have guest hosted it currently, but like, I feel like they don't. There's not that thing of like we have a regular guest host for at least for Tonight Show.
No.
I think they mostly just show reruns or like
yeah.
You know, Craig Ferguson used to have guest hosts.
Yeah. I feel like Vince Vaughn or someone did it.
Well, I have seen it theorized that most of the current late night hosts, like it's an ego thing. Like they don't want the audience to think that they're replaceable even for one night, which that sounds very, very likely to me.
Right. Yeah, that seems right.
Well, and I think also like there's so many of them now.
That's true too.
You know,
yeah.
Johnny Carson wasn't worried about like losing the ratings. He didn't, you know. If Joan Rivers is the host or Don Rickles is, I don't know. Did Don Rickles host? He did, right?
Keep coming in. Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Anyways, whoever.
Yeah.
Jay Leno, for heaven's sakes, right?
Yeah. Leno did it forever.
Towards the end, yeah. But anyways, Joan Rivers is going to lose this job because Mr. Wrightson, their boss, walks over to them and sternly says, "You are fired."
He says it so calmly.
He says it so calmly, which is such a great delivery. I think it works so much better that they then like look at each other and bust out laughing.
Yeah,
because he doesn't yell at them, right? He's like trying to stay professional.
Right. He's on a more even tone, and then they're when they burst out laughing, that's like the explosion of comedy. Whereas if he had done the over the top, like, you know, Mr. Spacely from the Jetsons, like, "You're fired," that would have been too much.
I love that Mr. Spacely is your go-to for.
Well, who's your go-to? Who's your go-to for an over the top boss saying you're fired?
I mean, it's the person who is no longer president when this is released.
Oh well, yeah, but that wasn't he. Like he didn't do it. That was lame the way he did it. It was just you're fired.
I don't know. I didn't watch that show.
I want to say actually, I should say neither did I. I saw clips of it. It was inescapable when it was on TV.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is like I guess it's like Michael Scott imitating Donald Trump or something.
Right.
Is like what I actually picture, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. anyways, we don't have to worry about that guy anymore. So anyways, we what happens? Oh, what else is really good is that it then cuts away while they're still laughing, which I had never thought about. How effective that is.
Yeah, that works really well because it also then kind of gives the audience a second to keep laughing as the shot carries over into the next scene.
Right. And before we move on to what that next scene is, do either of you have any thoughts about Joan Rivers or this scene before we move on?
Yeah, one thing I noticed, it takes a while before it cuts to the customers in the store watching this crazy scene play out, and I think that is a really good choice, presumably on Frank Oz's part, because it just keeps building and building. Like we saw it last week, and it continues this week, where they just keep getting crazier. And then as it's nearing the peak of craziness, that's when we see the customers just kind of staring at them like, what is going on over there?
Just like looking aghast, kind of, right?
Yeah. And also in the in the March 7th, 1983 draft of the screenplay, there was actually a moment where a customer comes up to the counter and sees Piggy's face and screams, which probably would have been a little too much. So,
maybe, yeah. I kind of like it though. Like,
yeah, it is. It does actually appear in the Marvel Comics adaptation, but
is that right?
Yeah, I think the movie might be better without it.
Remind me, did you have that comic as a kid?
I didn't as a kid. No, I own it now, but
you have it now. You own a copy of it now.
Yes, I could actually show it to you. It's over here.
Please, that's all I've ever wanted to see.
So for the audience, this is issue 3.
Here it is
with the wedding scene.
Spoiler: Kermit and Piggy are going to get married.
But this is issue 2. This is the part of the movie that we're talking about. Is in this issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wonder, is that like, there's a weird thing where like in the Batman, you know how like Harley Quinn from Batman the Animated Series came from Batman, she was in the animated series before she was in the comic books. And then because of that, when she debuted in the comic book based on Batman the Animated Series, that issue is apparently very valuable because it is technically the first issue with Harley Quinn in it, even though it's like, well, it's not really, it's not like when she came into the actual, whatever. Yeah. I was just seeing the Muppet Babies on that cover of the second issue made me think that my nerd brain is so warped that I was thinking, oh, is that the first appearance of the Muppet Babies in a comic book? That's got to be worth money.
I'm sure it is, actually.
I don't think Muppet Babies comics are as valuable as Harley Quinn.
Every con you go to, you see guys in the Harley Quinn t-shirts and the guys in the Muppet Babies.
You see Harley Quinn and Animal, right?
Yeah.
The two titans of the comic book industry.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this, like each of these for maybe a quarter in a back issue bin somewhere. So
sure, yeah. I have which I also found in a 50-cent bin, the issue of Marvel Age, which was the like Marvel news magazine in the 80s.
Yeah.
Promoting the Muppets Take Manhattan adaptation, but I do not own the actual thing.
Oh, that's cool. Does it have any original material that's not in the
it's all like, the thing is like interviews. It's like Jim Henson and Michael Frith are quoted talking about this Muppets. And actually Michael Frith says in that issue that like we tried a comic strip a few years ago and it didn't really take. So I think comic books will be a good vehicle for the Muppets or something. The comic strip was still running. That strip ran until 1987.
Yeah, they didn't even know. They were just like,
yeah. But he had other things to think. He was like working on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Why would he really?
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, so where do we actually go next? We go to Pete's Luncheonette, a location we haven't seen for a few minutes. And a customer who loves those rats asks Pete whatever happened to the rats that he had serving. I love the idea that this guy is just like, that's why he went to that restaurant, because there's rats working there.
He was just getting to know him, yeah.
Yeah. And Pete says, customer complain. They say they know like rats for waiters. That's okay. I make them cook.
Great.
So then we see Yolanda call out. We see Yolanda call out an order: 2 zeros on a trampoline with a side of Joan of Arc's.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you listeners know or can guess. The 2 zeros are fried eggs. The trampoline is a slice of toast. And then the Joan of Arc's are French fries, which is so tasteless, right?
Right. Well, here's
French fries, Joan of Arc's.
I had been aware of diner lingo. Like, this is a whole thing that actually exists in diners where waiters and cooks have the slang that they use.
Right. Yeah.
There's a Wikipedia article if you want to find out more about it. Things like cowboy with spurs is a Western omelet with fries. A life preserver is a donut. 2 dots and a dash is 2 fried eggs with a strip of bacon. For some reason, I always thought that when Yolanda said Joan of Arc, that was referring to French toast. Like, I thought maybe one of the things on that plate was French toast, which also makes sense to me because Joan of Arc was French and she was burned at the stake, so
Burned at the stake,
toast.
Right. But there are fries on the plate.
Yeah,
like, we can
yeah.
see
So it's
clearly.
Yeah, I guess it's French fries.
Did they? Is that made up? I mean, I know there these. I mean, as you say, that slang exists in diners.
I'll say this: I googled 2 zeros on a trampoline, and all the results were referring to this movie.
Yes.
So I don't think I think probably Frank Oz or Patchett and Tarsus came up with it.
But if anyone out there has ever worked at a diner, and if you can confirm or deny that 2 zeros on a trampoline with a side of Joan of Arc means fried eggs on toast with fries, please let us know.
Or if you are Frank Oz or Tom Patchett or Jay Tarsus.
I did Google Joan of Arc and fries and came up with a lot of different churches that have fish fries named after Joan of Arc. As like,
is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Huh. All right.
Joan of Arc loved fish.
Yes, famously, yes.
They didn't talk about that in Passion of Joan of Arc, so I didn't know. All right. The song this does lead into a song officially titled on the soundtrack "Rat Scat (parentheses Something's Cooking"?
Cooking, yeah.
Is it cooking? Is it something's cooking?
Cooking with an apostrophe, yeah.
I wrote it down wrong. Rat Scat, something's cooking. See, because it seems like it should either be something's cooking or something's cooking, and it's not. It's something's cooking.
Yeah.
This is, of course, the first time we've ever had a motion picture about rats cooking in a restaurant.
Yeah.
which was later ripped off by a little movie, a Brazilian classic called Ratatouille. about the chef Marcel Toing, owner of the famous diner Ratatouille.
Yes, that's the only other example we can think of.
The only other example I can think of, correct. But I feel like actually like calling this the original Ratatouille or something is the thing that happens pretty often. Like you'll see it online.
Yes.
People will just be like, Muppets Take Manhattan. Whoa, Brad Bird got all his ideas.
I think every few years there's someone who rewatches this movie and remembers that this scene exists, and then they write about it on the internet.
Right.
Right. Oh, this is yeah.
These rats are so much less hygienic than Remy and Ratatouille, who they take pains to show washes his little paws, and most of the time, sometimes he's not even handling the food because he's having Linguini do it. Whereas these rats are fully stepping on the food, bathing in coffee,
submerging themselves in it. Yes,
submerging themselves in coffee. Yeah,
right.
It's a different thing.
Just for the record, though, Anthony, so Ratatouille, that's a real movie, right? Like
that's a real movie. Yes,
it's a knockoff.
Yes, it's a Brazilian knockoff of Ratatouille, and it is takes place in Rio de Janeiro. And like, I've only seen the trailer; I haven't watched it. But the trailer starts out with like the vistas of Rio, like talking about how it's like the most beautiful city in the world, just like Paris, right?
Of course.
And then it's about a rat named Marcel who owns a restaurant called Ratatouille.
Yeah, that's great.
We'll link to the trailer in the show notes if you want to see something great. If you want to see a high quality program. Anyways,
there's a whole like alternate Hollywood of these knockoffs of popular movies.
Yeah,
especially Pixar movies. There's like one for everyone.
Do they still do them? Because I remember the Disney one. You'd always see them in Rite Aid or whatever in CVS. When Aladdin came out, like Aladdin and a lamp would be there in CVS like 2 weeks later. But like, I knew that they still do them for like, did Coco get one? Like,
I don't know about Coco, but this is like 10 years ago. There was, in addition to the one I just mentioned, there was like Chop Kick Panda.
Okay.
was a real one.
One that I've seen circulated online a lot is a movie that's a knockoff of Up called What's Up, Balloon to the Rescue.
I love that title. And what's great about What's Up, Balloon to the Rescue is that the cover has 2 old men on it and like 3 kids.
So you're getting more bang for your buck.
Yeah,
that sounds like a better deal.
And the house is being carried by 1 giant balloon instead of many small balloons.
Wow.
What's Up, Balloon to the Rescue. But yeah, like we talked, like I feel like the target audience. Oh, there is. So I'm looking now. There's a movie called Frozen Land
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
That takes place in a frozen land. So that's pretty new, you know. So I guess they are, at least in the 2010s, they have made some.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, pretty good. Anyways, so getting back to this movie, before we talk about the puppetry tricks, which I feel like are the main event here, I want to talk about the song briefly. Jeff Moss did write this. It is a song, and it's the lyrics are just Rizzo scatting. Not that that's nothing.
No,
but
it's very catchy.
There's not really lyrics to talk about here, right? It's just Rizzo doing his scat, which is kind of like Steve Whitmire's signature bit. He used to do it on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I guess by this point, maybe he had been. Do we know like what the timeline was? Had he been playing Wembley? I guess he had by this point.
Fraggle Rock premiered in January '83.
Right. Okay.
So
yes.
your script draft is March of '83. Like,
right,
you know, the movie would have been shooting probably that fall or something.
Yeah.
And Rizzo, good. Wembley scats with Gobo in the closing credits of every episode.
Right.
You know, so he does it in episodes sometimes, but like every episode features Wembley scatting the theme song, you know? And then he'll do it again as Kermit in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah.
Kermit and Robin got their little 'tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa-la-la, that thing. You know?
Yeah, and that has a name too. That's this like the Christmas scat or the something scat.
Yeah, and we'll get back to that. Of course.
On the soundtrack. Yeah, I actually did. As long as we're talking about the song, in that March 7th draft, there are lyrics, which it seems more like a chant than a song, but it goes, "We're the kitchen rats, flipping those jacks and they fall right back. The kitchen rats, we broil, fry, and barbecue. We're kitchen rats, cooking in the kitchen so good." And then it says they go into like a football team huddle and celebrate the song. So
this is way, like, I do wonder if Steve didn't suggest the scat thing. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I have no evidence to prove. I just know it's like something that he enjoyed doing, and he's great at it. I mean, this is one of the best parts of the movie, and his performance has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
you know, he's just so confident about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it like the whole thing. Rizzo sort of ties the whole sequence together because he's just kind of like strutting around, scatting, watching all the rats do their thing in the kitchen. Yeah, right.
So like I mentioned, the real joy here is all the puppetry tricks that are going on, and actually, I'm sure many of our listeners have read the book Jim Henson: The Works by Christopher Finch. This book from 1993. Do you guys both know that book? I'm sure you do, Ryan.
Yeah. It was a very instrumental text in my going from just kind of being like a young Muppet fan to a Muppet nerd.
Me too.
Who wanted to know everything about everything.
Yeah, I bought it at Barnes and Noble when I was 12, and it like blew my mind. But this sequence gets its own 2-page spread in the book. Pages 136 and 137 are storyboards by artist John Davis and info about the puppetry tricks in this sequence. So a lot of what we're going to talk about, like a lot of what we know about how it was done, comes from that book, which, listeners, if you haven't read it, if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't read that book, that's absurd. Read that book. But so a lot of the puppetry tricks here were rigged by Faz Fazakas. Have we ever talked about him on the show? We must have.
His name has probably come up in the credits of one of these, at least. Yeah.
So he was kind of like the special effects guy for the Muppets for a long time.
He did a lot to introduce like remote control technology into Muppet stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the doozers, and he's the inspiration for Doc on Fraggle Rock, kind of like supposedly, right? That's
like kind of a tinkerer. Yeah.
Right. So he had a lot to do with this. So let's talk about what I mean when I say this. We start with Rizzo excitedly shaking salt and pepper shakers, which, like, is he just bouncing up and down? Are his arms moving? They're not, right? He's just bouncing.
I think maybe, I don't know. Like, I think Rizzo's head might be on sort of a, I don't even know how to describe this, which I think is kind of similar to Beaker, maybe, where it's like, his neck kind of goes up and down and like slides up and down in his head like a slide whistle or something. So I think maybe Steve is just sort of like sliding Rizzo's body up and down on his neck to make him do this dance move. And I think it looks really good.
Right. And then the next thing is that we see Tatooine, who is named after the dish ratatouille, as we've discussed. So really his name should be Tatooine, ideally. He's sitting in a ladle hanging from the ceiling, banging on a bunch of pots and pans that are also hanging from the ceiling, which rules. Like, what a cool place for him to be.
Yeah, that's really fun. And that is one of those things, if you are watching closely, I'm pretty sure it cuts between a remote controlled version of Tatooine and the wide shots, and then to a hand puppet version in the close up shots.
Yeah, I bet that's right. Because it's just that one wide shot of it, I think, right? I don't know.
There might be two, but yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And then the next thing we see is Masterson slicing butter with a knife, which he's going to be skating around on buttery pats later in a minute, shortly after that. Which in the book, in the works, they mentioned that this was real butter. They talked about using something else, but like butter worked the best, even though it seemed too obvious initially. So is this real butter that he's slicing also? I
guess.
Probably. Like
it looks like real butter, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So it's just like a little with his tiny little rat hands.
Yeah, you just want to be really careful and not get butter on the puppet or stab the puppet with the knife.
Yeah. That's right. And then we also see Chester riding around on an egg beater.
As if it were a unicycle.
Yeah, as if it were a unicycle in pancake batter. And both of those guys, Masterson on the buttery pats and also Chester on the egg beater, they both spin as they do it, which is such a nice touch.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no reason for these puppets to be spinning around furiously while they're doing these kitchen tasks, but it just makes it seem so much more real, I guess.
Yeah, they're just showing off.
Yeah, and again, in the works, it says Chester's feet were attached to an egg beater, which is driven from underneath using a waterproof bearing. So what does that mean? Do you know what that means? I kind of don't.
I guess just so whoever's operating it, didn't get like eggs and batter on their hands. Like there must have just been some kind of waterproof seal to separate the bottom of the bowl from under the bowl.
Yeah. Okay. I guess so.
That's all I can figure.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks great. I mean, I think both of those things, the butter skating especially, like, yes, what a cool effect.
Yeah.
You know, like how did he, how are they controlling him? I guess it's wires. I don't know.
On a couple of these, I looked and played it back many times looking for wires or strings, and I really don't see any. We kind of know how they did some of this, but I still don't really know how they did any of this.
Right. It's just all so impressive.
Yeah.
And then next, Rizzo yells out, "How's the coffee?" Tatooine says, "The coffee's fine. Come on in." And he dunks his head into it while Yolanda's just like hanging out on the side with her legs in the coffee.
Yeah, the Yolanda puppet looks kind of stiff there. Like she's not moving very expressively. But our eye is drawn to Tatooine, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. So that's probably not real coffee, right? It's probably just colored water or something.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like they would be strange to brew coffee and wait for it to cool down.
Right.
So they can shoot these puppets in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess they probably wouldn't want to just dunk a puppet in coffee.
Probably not. Right. Which actually my 6-year-old child said to me while we were watching this, which you want to talk about what we pass on to our children genetically. My 6-year-old daughter is watching this with me, and she turns to me and she goes, "So did that coffee ruin the puppet?" And I was just like, yeah, probably.
She is your kid.
She really is, man. She really is. So then the next thing we see is Masterson is nursing his burned foot while Rizzo walks past, which I had never noticed until this time. I always thought he was just hanging out, like by the pancake.
Yeah, and none of the other rats seem very concerned about him. Like, they're just going about their business and scatting, and no one is stopping to ask Masterson if he's okay.
Maybe this happens to him every day. He hops on the butter skates, burns his feet.
It would be hard to. I mean, you picture skating on butter on a griddle, and that would be hard to do without hurting yourself. Like,
right. Well, because the butter's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
And then finally, Tatooine and Yolanda catch some toast on a plate and carry it away. And then Chester jumps onto a spatula to flip a pancake.
Well, I don't think we talked about the pouring of the pancake batter.
Oh, no, we didn't. You're right. I skipped that. Yeah, right before that, Chester pours pancake batter out of a big pot, which, again, I have no idea how they got it to look like that puppet is pouring that giant pot.
How do they make that puppet? Like, it's so fluid. It looks like a person. Yes,
and he's tiny. He's like, how big are these rat puppets? Like a foot, maybe?
Yeah, they're not
tiny. They're not like, it's not like it's Fozzie Bear with live hands.
No, they're little guys. But it's just such a fluid, natural motion as he pours the pancake batter and then turns this little thing right side up again. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. So then we see Tatooine and Yolanda carry toast on a plate, catch it on a plate when it pops out of the toaster. In the works, the sketches show Yolanda and Masterson carrying eggs on a stretcher, which does not appear in the scene.
Don't we see Rizzo and Yolanda doing that earlier?
No, I don't think so.
I think when Tatooine is playing the pots and pans, I think we see that in the foreground. Like,
oh, is that right?
I think
away,
so. Like
right when it pulls back, right after she leaves the plate.
I think so. We're distracted by Tatooine. Yeah, I'm gonna go back.
Is that right?
Check.
Yeah, because Rizzo's shaking those salt and pepper shakers at that time.
Right. It's a little bit after that. Let me see. Oh, right. No. Okay. Sorry. It's when I've lost track of these rats. The egg beater. It's when that's happening.
Oh, when the egg beater's happening, they show that?
Oh, and it's not Rizzo. Okay. Sorry. It is Masterson and Yolanda carrying the eggs.
So it is exactly like it says in the book. Okay, I just missed it. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this scene.
I should be fired from this podcast.
No, that just shows how impressive.
Like Piggy and Joan Rivers.
This just shows how impressive this sequence is. That there's so many gags happening that you can't even catch them all.
Right. Yeah. And so then finally, Chester does jump onto a spatula to flip a pancake, which lands on Rizzo's head, and that's where we end here.
And how did they do that?
I have no idea.
He jumps off the shelf and lands on the spatula. I don't see any strings. I watched it so many times with my face so close to the screen.
Yeah. See, this is we've talked before about how great it would have been if Frank Oz had recorded an audio commentary for this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would know all this.
He might, although I've read
some of this stuff
somewhere, and I don't remember where I heard this or read it, but that Jim Henson either directed the sequence or co-directed it, or
oh, really?
I think he took a little bit more of a hand in this sequence. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Frank was there, obviously. So
yeah, Frank was there, and I mean, obviously, like Steve Whitmire or Karen Prell or Brian Meal, like most of the performers in this scene are still alive. Too.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
I think all of the performers in this scene are still alive. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know about what's the guy with 3 names who plays one of them?
Is it Bruce Edward Hall?
Yeah, Bruce Edward Hall. He has passed away, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but all the rest of them are still around.
Yeah, we should ask all of them. We should just tweet at Frank Oz and say, "Tell us everything you remember about this sequence."
Right. We should comment on Steve Whitmire's blog.
Yeah.
Send
actually,
kindly worded email.
Yeah, Steve might. That could inspire a whole blog post.
Yeah, it might. I mean, he might be very eager to talk about this. You know? Wouldn't surprise me.
Now I want the whole crew of rat performers to do a series of commentaries. Forget Frank Oz. Just have the rat crew do their own commentaries for every movie.
That would be great. It's Steve Whitmire, Karen Prell, Dave Goles, and Brian Meal, right?
The rat crew. Yeah, I like it.
I'd listen to that.
Yeah.
So that does bring us to the end. So anything else before we close? Jesse, I'll start with you.
I wanted to talk about this sequence not because I know anything about how it was made. I like you guys remain fairly baffled years later about how David was done, but also I think it's just now I kind of mentally connected to Who Framed Roger Rabbit because that's one of my favorite movies. As it was one of my favorite movies as a kid and remains one of my favorite movies now. And because in both cases I was watching something that's like astonishing technically. And as a child was just like delighted by the kind of literally what was happening on screen, that I had no idea how crazy difficult it must have been to do. And with Roger Rabbit, it's like the whole movie. And there's a lot of stuff in all the movies, but this sequence like really made an impression. This was like my favorite part I think this was like the second movie I ever saw in a movie theater after Snow White. And I think I saw it twice even as a child, which was unusual for me at 3 or 4 years old. We didn't have a VCR, so I like never watched movies really like again until we got one when I was 7 or 8. So this was like the first movie probably I'd ever seen a second time. And I loved the whole thing obviously, but I loved the kitchen sequence for reasons I couldn't really articulate because the rats are not like my favorites of the Muppets. And I had no particular like interest in cooking as a child, but something about the rats, the scale of it with the rats doing cooking stuff, like using the thing, the mixer as a unicycle and all that stuff, just really spoke to me for some reason. And it was like, I guess I found it funny. I think my mom said I was like laughing a lot at it, but I was just like, was like my favorite thing ever that I'd ever seen basically on filmed entertainment to that point. Were these rats in the kitchen. And I really couldn't tell you exactly why, except for that I just thought it was so funny that they were making pancakes like I saw adult humans do, but they were rats.
Right.
But now I kind of look at that scene and think like it weirdly feels like wonderfully New Yorky to me, even though like I have a close friend who's cannot watch, or I think she watched Ratatouille, but I think she maybe had to not watch it at all because she was so disgusted by the idea of like a rat in the kitchen. She was, and in New York, certainly like we're just dealing with like some kind of mouse or rat that like poked into our garbage the other night. And it's disgusting, but there's just something like that feels both New Yorky and kind of delightful about the idea. Like it's all just like, it's very Muppet Show joke, right? Like, oh, they didn't like them as waiters. So, they complained. So I just put them in the kitchen.
Right.
But there is something really endearingly New Yorky, I think, about that. Like that, oh, it's like this greasy spoon diner and like the rats are the rats just get to work and help out. And I probably don't ask to be paid very much, which again, is like in real life is a horrible thing, but it's like so sweet and adorable that like, it's just, everyone's pitching in, even the rats, they just want to cook breakfast for people. It's heartwarming.
Right. Yeah. It's great. So then do you have anything else, Ryan, before we close?
Oh, well, did you see the note on Muppet Wiki about this scene? Another thing about Faz Fazakas and his team figuring the scene out, that they originally tried to make the pancake batter from a paint formula. And it says it was so caustic, it etched pits into stainless steel bowls. Real pancake batter is used in the film. So again, just like the butter, they were brainstorming these other creative solutions, and then they were just like, oh, let's just use pancake batter, and it worked.
Yeah. It's fascinating that happened in both of those instances.
Yeah. Sometimes the simplest thing is the best.
Right. Yeah, because they couldn't do anything else simply.
Right. Sometimes the simplest thing is the best when you are shooting an incredibly complicated and time-consuming puppet sequence.
Right.
Which that was the other thing I was wondering about the toaster gag is just how many times do you think it took them? How many takes do you think it took to get the toast to pop out of that toaster and land right on the plate where it needed to? Right.
Although I do wonder if it isn't like one set of toast popping up and someone else dropping another set of toast.
Oh, does it fly out of the frame?
It flies out of the frame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone catches it and then someone else drops.
And drops another. Yeah. That's my guess.
Yeah. Clever.
Still complicated, obviously. Yes. But so Jesse, as you might remember from our 2 previous movies, we like to ask our guests, you talked about your history with the movie and the first time you saw it already, but where would you rank it among the Muppet movies?
As much as I have so much affection for it because it was one of my first movies ever and one of extremely strong impression it made. And I want to say, I don't know if this is one of those things where I remember it or if it's just a received memory. I believe I cried at the end of it because it was over and I was like a brat and wanted to watch it some more. It was it's obvious, so I mean no disrespect, but I would say I would definitely put it below the first two, and I kind of like the two 2010 ones more than this one too. If I'm being honest, I think they're a little funnier maybe, and I think some of the Muppets Take Manhattan stuff is maybe a little softer. Like Great Grandpa Caper is so funny and so sharp, and there's also something really magical about the Muppet movie. And this one I think is a little squishier, and I like it. I love it. Obviously, I like it a lot. But I would say definitely Muppets Most Wanted I prefer to this one, and I might prefer even the 2011 Muppets one to this too. Or I might be more. I mean, just because I haven't seen it as often, I'd be more in the mood to watch it. But I put it above the 90s ones, which I like all of them. But so I would probably put this fourth or fifth, which probably seems low for one that Tencent and Oz actually worked on.
Sure,
no, that's really interesting. I don't know that we've heard that particular ranking before.
Do most people? I would say most people put it third, or do they even go higher?
We've heard a lot of 1, 2, and 3. I would say, and a few 4s. But most guests that we've had on thus far have, I would say, put the first 3 at the top.
Yeah.
I think it's hard not to, unless maybe, I guess if we had some younger guests, maybe they would be, because I think so much of it is like the ones that we grew up with. It's hard for us to think of them as anything less than the top 3 in whichever order.
Right.
But,
right. Well, I've said before that I put Christmas Carol above this one, but
yeah.
That's just me.
I think that one's grown a lot, I think, in estimation over the years. And also, I have younger cousins who are I don't know, 6. Maybe the guy I'm thinking of was I forget how much, about 10 years younger than I am. And I remember when the new ones came out, the most recent ones, he was what the is this? This isn't the real Muppets from the Muppets Christmas Carol. I mean, he also liked the old ones, and he knew Jim Henson worked on those and didn't work on Christmas Carol or Treasure Island. But to him, those were still super real, and that these new ones were just pretenders. While the people making the movie were sort of bashing.
That's so fascinating. Yeah, that those are the primary Muppet things to them.
Yeah, although Jerry Jewell wrote Muppet Christmas Carol, and he didn't write this. So there is something to that being written by the head writer of the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
And he's he and Charles Dickens really are the two. There's no other credited screenwriter.
Charles Dickens is underrated as a Muppet screenwriter.
It's true. It's true. He really got draft we should also link, I think, as we did when you were on for Great Muppet Caper, you wrote a piece for the AV Club ranking of all the 8 Muppet movies a few years ago.
And I don't remember even if I put this. I know I'm sure I put it below Most Wanted because I stumped for that movie really hard, but I don't remember if I did it the injustice of putting it below 2011 too.
I'm looking at it right now. You did in fact put it below the 2011.
Yeah, I'm you
have it at number 5, just like you did today. So
you should see my Star Trek rankings. It's even more.
Yeah, didn't you put Insurrection at the top?
I put Insurrection very high. Yes.
I remember that because I think I said something to you on Twitter at the time. I was like, "What's your deal, man?"
What's wrong with you? Yeah.
So, pretty fun. It's all nonsense anyway,
all of those lists are nonsense.
It's fun.
They're fun.
Anthony, did your daughter that's what I'm very curious about. How did she react to this compared to? I assume she's seen all of them now.
She has seen all of them at least once or twice. She's definitely seen Muppet Christmas Carol the most because my wife always has it on often during December. That's Roz's favorite one. My wife. But I don't know. Iris likes this one. We
know that she likes the pirate one.
She likes the pirate one, not as much as she used to, though.
Oh.
Like she's kind of outgrown the pirate one. But actually, it's funny, and she actually wants to talk about this when we get there on the podcast. She has requested. She has this theory that, like, in her head, this must take place after Muppets Most Wanted, because in that one, Kermit and Piggy call off the wedding, and in this one, they actually get married.
Huh.
Oh,
so like they almost got married, and then later they actually do. Like she has said this to me multiple times.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because what does she care what Miss Piggy's hair looks like?
Right. No, I like that she's coming up with fan theories.
Yeah. Well, like we said, she's my girl, you know? How about you? You have a daughter around that age. Has she seen this?
She has. We watched it together not that long ago. And I think she liked it okay. And I think she even chose it that day, like when we had a couple different choices. But I feel like she got a little bored with it towards the end. Like she sometimes with movies that aren't cartoons, she just sort of was like, all right, an hour is enough.
Sure.
Christmas Carol might be the one she's seen the most too, just because we have watched it 2 consecutive Christmases. But the other ones that just doesn't come up as often. She has seen, I think, most of them. Actually, last time we tried to watch Most Wanted with her, I thought she would be old enough to like get more of the jokes, but wasn't quite old enough because she was really disturbed by Constantine switching places with Kermit and burst out crying and was like, we have to turn this off. Yeah, she wouldn't stop until we turned it off. So we were like, all right, we'll try this another time. And we were like, it's silly. It's just, they're just goofing around. Like it's funny because I find Constantine so funny. And she just was not with me.
No, I've heard of young children reacting badly to that storyline of just Kermit being so helpless that none of his friends know that he's been replaced.
Yeah. Kermit in jail was like too much for her.
My niece was 5 probably when that movie came out. And I remember in the theater, she was really freaked out when Constantine pulls out like the like metal jaws. Yeah. Like she thought that was like genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know,
and she's never seen the James Bond movies with Jaws and
right, exactly. So, and actually, she's a diehard fan of this podcast. She listens to every episode. So shout out to Alina.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Alina.
Yeah. So anyways, that I think if there's nothing else, that brings us just about down to the end. Jesse, thanks again for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
So listeners, you can always check out toughpigs.com on the internet. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. You can send us an email at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com if you have thoughts you'd like to share. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Roe. And Jesse, remind us again where our listeners can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at RockMarooned. If you like the movie Jerry, or even if you do not like the movie Jerry, that's where you can find me. You can also go to sportsalcohol.com where I have my own podcast where we talk about movies and stuff. If you want to hear 4 people sort of, I'm told inexplicably, all giving Wonder Woman 84 a pass, our most recent episode has that.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a very divisive movie, apparently.
I haven't made time to watch it yet.
It got 4. It got 4. It's fine from us.
Sure. I'm still looking forward to it, despite everything I've heard. By the time this comes out, hopefully I'll have seen it. So thank you again, Jesse. Thank you to Stacy Rosen for writing our theme music, and to Morgan Davy for designing our logo. And listeners, thank you to you for giving a positive review to this podcast and a positive review to the film Ratatouille. Tell all your friends to listen to the podcast, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Moving Right Along. Goodbye.
Squiddly-dop-boo-da-da-boo-doo-bow.